What is going on, everyone? Today's video is something a little different than I've done, and it's something I've wanted to do for a while, and this is more of an opinionated video, so I want to get that started right out the bat. This is opinion based. This is how I feel about this subject and my experiences with it. So as you can probably tell by the title of the video, I am touching on the controversial subject of catch and release fishing. So before this video gets started, I am running a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. There's going to be 10 winners. That is a lot of stuff. We have a deeper, we have a tackle warehouse angler backpack. A lot of good stuff coming in store for you guys. So if you want to be a part of that, there's a few simple rules. If you want to check out the original video with the montage and all that, there are the rules in that video. I'll show the rules real quick, or I'll tell you the rules real quick, so you, if you don't want to go to that video, you don't have to, and you can continue watching this one. First of all you have to do is be subscribed to this channel. Then you have to go over to my buddy Troy from Boneyard Bassin, and the video that I want you to go to is right up right here, and you have to subscribe to him and comment done on that video. I am pulling the winners from his video. It is sort of a way to give back to you guys and also to help support a fellow YouTuber and buddy. So that is all you have to do. So as simple as that. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like I already said, to this channel, and please give this video a like, comment, whatever you want. Let me know if this video resonates with you or what your opinion is also. So with all that fun stuff put aside, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video, and that is on the topic of catch and release fishing. I myself am a catch and release fisherman. The only time I find myself keeping fish is when I go ocean fishing. I don't know why that is. That's just the only time that I find myself actually keeping my catch. That said, I do not keep freshwater fish, including, and big no to me is keeping largemouth bass. I started when I was in high school really getting into fishing, and I did keep stuff when I first started fishing. We'd go to the lakes and catch like trout, and we'd come home and cook them. Then I started getting into bass fishing, and I actually, the pond that I like fell in love with bass fishing is where I kept my first bass. And to this day I feel extremely guilty, but we would keep we only kept two. The only time I went there I only kept two, but it was a 4-pound and a 6-pound largemouth. One was me and one was my buddy. Here's the pictures right here. As you can tell, those are very big bass, and anyone who is a bass fisherman or just a catch and release fisherman kind of cringe at that thought, because those are big fish. Those are, especially for Oregon, in my opinion, are some trophy bass, especially in where I live, Eugene, these ponds. They are not easy to come by. And there's another guy who was a friend of a friend, and he found out about this pond, and I remember we'd be fishing there and he'd be cranking in like 3 to 5 pounders, like a lot. And I saw him down there a lot, and he would always go home with a stringer of fish. And over the years I started to notice a decline in fishability and the catch rate of bigger fish I was getting there. We were still pumping out like a couple 1-2 pounders, but the amount of big fish steadily started to drop, which now, as a, like I said, avid catch and release bass fisherman, that really hurts my heart, and I feel very guilty for the ones I caught. And because largemouth take a long time to get to that size, a like 5 to 6 pound fish is maybe 6 to 8 years old. That's an old, for a fish, that's old. That's a lot of time, and when you have a pond that maybe isn't full of largemouth bass, especially this place, because they were trying to eradicate these for a while, because a lot of people, or a lot of the ODFW wildlife conservatories try to turn these ponds into like salmon spawn areas. They've done it with a few other ponds, and it starts to hurt the population. So the amount of retention in this area started to hurt it too. So I've caught, maybe over the last 3 or 4 years, 1 to 2 3 and up pound bass. My PB was 2 years ago, 2016, where I caught my 714, I think it was. Here's a video clip of it.
looking into this 712 right here.
Last year I caught a 5.5 out there, and 2016 I also caught a 6.5 and a 4.5. So that was 2016 was an insane year for fishing in general, but for bass fishing, especially in Eugene, it was at its tip top. I hear about that as much in the pond I go, which is another reason why I became more of a catch and release, because just the amount of time it takes for these small body of water fish to grow to the size that are more trophy-like. I get annoyed at the fact that every time I fish, especially for bass, it's no one's fault, it's just being who I am as a fisherman. Whenever anyone's like, oh, you keeping them? Are you keeping them? Can I have them? I'm just like, no, like these go back in the water. That being said, I'm not a perfect catch and release fisherman. There's times that I don't release very smoothly, or things happen, or I have them out for a little too long. Kind of in the moment you get mixed up, especially when it's an exciting catch. But I try to do my best to handle them with care, not to stress them out too much, have them out too long, so they can continue to grow and fuel me with more adrenaline pumping catches as they spawn and fill these waters with more and more fish. People think or don't agree with catch and release. They think it's cruel or it doesn't work, that you are like ultimately damaging the fish to where when it goes back it's going to die because of stress. And being also a fish tank owner, I know how stress affects fish, but a lot of these fish are very hardy. They go through a lot of different stressors just being in the water. So yes, this is a very huge shock to them, but if done correctly, you can release the fish and it will continue to live, spawn, and grow. That is a very fun term, let them go, let them grow, because there's a lot of fish that continue to live. Yeah, sometimes things happen. You might get a fish that's a little more sensitive, but more times than not, fish live. If that wasn't the case and every fish released was dying, there wouldn't be bass tournaments in lakes that continue to have great populations of bass. There wouldn't be fish that are caught multiple times. And that's like the big point of this video, is I want to talk about an experience I've had with catch and release, especially being with bass. I've had a lot of people ask me, why do you catch and release? And I think I boiled down why the biggest reason I like to fish is because I like to come in contact with these creatures. These are organisms that you do not see in your day-to-day life, thing that lives in a completely different world than we do. There's so many different species, so many crazy, crazy fish out there. I think it's incredible to be able to hold those in your hand and just kind of have that quick connection before you let them go. The catch and release to me is kind of a respectful thank you for this experience. There's so much going on in an aquatic ecosystem that is mind-blowing, and it's so cool to see these things that thrive in a situation that we can't survive in. I'll make another video more explaining that. I don't want to get too into it just because this video will be too long, but that is a big reason why. But with all that being said, I wanted to give you a little story on why I think catch and release is a useful and working practice in my opinion, and has to do with a largemouth that I have encountered more than once. This little creek that I like to fish in my kayak, I have a couple videos actually about them, and I'm going to be showing clips from those and why this is kind of proof to me on why I think catch and release actually works. And then again, people are saying that this is cruel and kills the fish. It's just a lot of different opinions I've heard over the years. Not everyone thinks that, obviously, but there's a lot of people who have given me grief for that. So about almost 3 years ago, I fished this spot for the first time with my kayak, and we were just nailing smallmouth after smallmouth after smallmouth in this little creek. Like, check this out. Look how many smallmouth we caught.
That looks a lot bigger.
Boom.
It's kind of weird. We're going down this and we're like, what? There's so many smallmouth. Like, where are some of the largemouth? And pretty much the whole day, we didn't see any largemouth. Maybe like 1 or 2 dinkers, like little tiny guys. And it was crazy. And then we finally got onto this one spot, and there's this big stick sticking out of the water, and it ran down to more of a log. So I'm like, oh, that's a perfect little piece of cover for me to pitch this brush hog to. So I flip the brush hog to it, and I just get slammed.
Oh. Did you see that?
Like, holy crap, that is like the hardest I've ever been hit by a fish. I'm like, that is dead on a largemouth.
Dude, I've never been hit that hard before on a bite. Huh?
What?
I've never been hit that hard.
Like I know the difference in the bites after a while, especially when you're catching like 50 or so like half-pound to 2-pound smallmouth all day. You kind of get to know what a smallmouth bite feels like, and I've caught enough largemouth to kind of know the difference a little bit. Unfortunately, he stuck me onto a log, and I was like, well, crap, missed that bite. And I sat there like I could not get that bite out of my head, so I had to keep flipping to it. I flipped to it for maybe another 15 minutes, going up the creek, floating back down, just boom, 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 boom. Finally, I did like one more cast in, and then boom, he was on.
Got him. Oh, it's a big fish. Oh.
Dude, it broke the surface like a carrot.
Oh. Woo!
And I was like, yes! And of course, I see a big largemouth coming out of the water. And like I said, we're fishing a small creek, so these fish aren't big. This bass was, I think, 2 pounds when I caught him. And I was freaking out though, because it was the biggest fish we saw all day. And I was like, oh my God! And I was so ecstatic when I caught him. I was like,
Woo! Holy shit. Oh my God.
so then what I did after I caught him, I got my quick little, there he is. I let him go exactly down in the water, right down to the cover he was sitting on, or she, who knows. And we finished out our day, and that catch stayed in my mind for a long time. A year and a half passed. I went down there one more time. I don't think I took my camera, I might have. And we go back down in there, and I see that stick sticking out of the water one more time. And I was like, whoa, I gotta flip to there because of last time. And then I flipped to it a couple times, nothing. And then I went up and rode it down one more time, and I put it on a brush hog, and I cast it right in there, and bam! Only largemouth all day. Pulled him in, right on the same spot was another largemouth. So I was like, whoa, that was kind of a coincidence. So I did the same thing, got my picture, whatever, and I let him go and let him swim back down to his spot. So 2 years passed now, and I haven't been to the spot. I didn't go all last summer. And then I was like, all right, I went out with my buddy Brian. We filmed a video. I decided not to make this a video about that trip, but more why catch and release works, because I thought it would be a good idea. So I took him down to the spot for the first time. We were ripping smallmouth all day, boom, 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 boom. And then we're moving, and then we get down to the spot where I know this stick is again. And I was telling Brian, I'm like, dude, I've hooked this same largemouth, I'm pretty sure, right in the same spot twice. First time I caught him, he was 2 pounds. Second time I caught him, he was like almost 3. And I was like, this is so crazy. Like, how cool would it be if I flipped to this spot and I got him? And then my camera died, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm just gonna try to catch. And then I flipped it out there, and I set my rod down, and I went and switched my camera battery on my GoPro. And then I hit start, and I was reeling in, and boom, I was on. I was like, oh my God, big fish, big fish.
Holy crap. Camera was off, but there's a good 3-pounder. I'm gonna weigh it on the Connect scale. Oh. 326, man. 327. Almost a 3.5-pounder out of a little creek.
And I got him in, I was like, this is the only largemouth again for me. 3 years in a row, this whole creek, I'm only getting a largemouth on this one spot. This has to be the same fish, because first year I caught him, he's 2 pounds. Second year I caught him, he's 3 pounds. Third year, actually it was 4 years later, I caught him, and he is almost 4 pounds, which means this is the same fish sitting in the same area. This is a great example of why I think catch and release works. This is a great system because I'm catching him, getting excited, but being respectful and setting him right back down where I caught him, and he's staying there and continue to grow every year, and I get to catch him every year. So that right there to me was a substantial amount of proof that catch and release, when done right, when taking the proper steps to ensure a nice healthy release, make certain that this fish is going to continue to thrive after such a traumatic event. Like imagine getting ripped out of your home by a hook. Like I in no way say that this is a like humane sport. It is kind of crazy to think about from the fish's perspective, but they don't have a long attention span. So that's why a lot of fish that you can catch once, you can drop it back down, throw your lure out, and it'll bite again. It doesn't really register that that's not something it should do. Maybe after like 5 or so catches. I know people like to keep bass. If you're in a reservoir and you're slaying like 2 pounders or so, keep those. But if you're catching a 6-7 pounder, don't keep that. Let that go. That is an old fish. That is a vital fish for reproduction in this area. They're fat most of the time when you catch them because they're full of eggs, or they're just a big fish. They're smart and they know how to continue to repopulate where you're at. And especially if you're in a pond, like you're diminishing the amount of fish in there by taking a big fish, because those big fish are what help populate where you're at. Nothing angers me more than being in a small hole and seeing people pull out a 5-pounder and be like, well, there's dinner. Like, no, there's joy for everyone taken right out by such a simple action. You're gonna eat it and you're gonna shit it out. How is that worth taking the enjoyment out of a fishing hole for other people and yourself? Like, you're damaging your ability to catch more retention fish by taking out a nice spawning fish. And I'm in no way against taking fish. I think the fishing industry is going a little crazy. Obviously, oceans are diminishing and populations are starting to plummet, which is scary. But if you're going to catch and release, be smart about it. Don't be a poacher. Those people are the worst in the world, especially for fish like sturgeon that take about 20 years to get to maturity for spawning. And just be smart. And in Oregon, we don't have a warm water stocking program anymore. So these bass that are getting kept, they're not getting replenished by hatcheries anymore. Trout, go ahead, keep trout. If you catch a native, throw that back. That is a beautiful and very rare fish sometimes, especially in big reservoirs. So if it is not fin clipped by the hatchery, throw it back. So that is just kind of my 2 cents on catch and release. I don't know if I'm rambling, but I just wanted to get out my opinion. Like I said, opinionated. If you disagree with me, be somewhat civil about it. Let me know in the comments section what you think, and don't chew my head off, because opinion. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the 1,000. Again, remember that 1,000 giveaway is going. The link to Troy's video and that video is down in the description. I hope to catch you and some fish, catch and release style, in the next video. Peace!
Like the cool blue light. Like the cool blue light. Like the cool blue light.